That's mostly specifications. I'm going to talk a little bit about this idea of functional decomposition. And this is just a means for finding out, or a methodical way to go through and figure out what your user needs and specifications are, okay? So the idea is that you just take the primary function of your product, or you could do this for multiple big functions, okay? And you're just going to go through and break them down into their component parts as finely as you can to try and understand everything it's supposed to do. And when you get down enough layers, you'll be satisfied, and those will be your user needs. And then you'll take each of those and you'll give it a number, and those will be your specifications, okay? It's kind of hard to read, but the idea here is I want a device to make coffee, okay? So this is my problem that I'm going to do a functional breakdown on. So I've got several things that I'm going to need it to do to make coffee. I'm going to need to store and heat water. I'm going to need to grind coffee beans and store them somewhere. I'm going to need to have a means of pouring the water over the beans. And then I'll need a way to keep the coffee warm. Does everybody kind of see how you could break down simple task making coffee into multiple steps? You could then break these down further. So when I'm talking about water, I need to store water, and I need to heat water. And those could be my user needs for water, okay? And then for specifications, I might say, okay, I needed to store 2 liters of water. And for heating water, I could say I need to heat it to 210 degrees, right? Whatever those specifications might be. So as soon as you get to your lowest level of function, that can be your user need, and then you can have specifications. You can then ask yourself, how quickly do I need to heat the water? And that can be your performance specifications. Does that make sense to everybody? So you just kind of break at a high level those functions down and keep breaking them down until you get to something useful. Okay, so I just want you to take, we'll just do about 5 minutes, and just on an individual basis, just kind of a large block diagram, do a functional decomposition for your project. All right, how'd that go? Make sense to everybody? Do you get kind of a broad feel for that? Does anybody want to share their decomposition? Yes? You do, don't you? American Eagle shirt.
Yeah. So I'm on the car team, so we're making a sub-auxiliary car for handicapped kids. And and that's broken down into 2 sub-teams. We have the integration team and the override development team. And the integration team is broken down into the suspension, the body, and the seat. So underneath the suspension, we have the wheels, hubs, and axle. Under the body, we have like the floorboards, the siding, and then like the front and back like bumpers. And then the seat, we just have like the child seat, and then the safety driver's seat, and then the override development team, that's broken down into the override mechanism. Then they also have the pedal to engage it. Then that'll be broken down into the different components for it.
Very good. Did everybody follow that? Can I hear him? Okay. So he's working with the car team. So they're building basically like a driver's ed car, more or less, right? Yeah. Driver's ed soapbox derby car. I can't say soapbox derby anymore, right? Like a soapbox derby car, but not. And so it has a steering and brakes override, right? So he broke each of those systems down into the subsequent part level. And then even once you get down into those parts, you can go further into doing specification for numbers, right? So it should brake at some speed, at some rate, right? So you get those performance metrics. Good. Okay, last thing, I'll let you guys out a little bit early, but I do want to, again, make sure that you know where to find these. So I know I've shown most of you guys this before, but I want to make sure that you know. Go to the EPICS website, go to SharePoint. Does everybody know where SharePoint is by now? So here's the AAEE team as an example. And in their notebook, you'll see their team page, their design document page. So each of you have a design document page if you're using OneNote. If you're using paper notebooks, you probably have some Word document, and you can find it there. But as you go through your project identification, again, you have the user need page here. So you should have some list of user needs. And then your specifications, you have here under Specification Development. And that's where you will include all these specifications as you come up with them. So as you can see in these examples, I have a user need for it should hold a bite of liquid. The specification is it should hold 3/4 of an ounce of water. So is that specification ambiguous? No, right? It's pretty straightforward. Does it conflict with any of the other user needs? Or the other specifications? I don't think so. And it has built in that checkbox, right? Yes or no, this can happen. So those are kind of the key things to look for as you go through and look at your team's specifications. So sometime this week, try and make sure you take a look at your teams. If you're a brand new team, you might not have this done yet, but if you're on an existing team, you should have user needs and specifications somewhere. If you don't, it's not too late. These are always supposed to be iterated. So even if your project is on its 4th semester and you think they had really good ones, you can still go back and update those, okay? So don't be afraid to do that. And then again, as you get those specifications, you will see how those fall back into verification and validation testing. So you will have, for your specification, a test, right? So, or some analysis to say, yes, we really did do that, okay? That make sense to everybody? Anybody have questions about specifications, functional decomposition, engineering design process? Anything? All right. Have a good evening.